Well, here we are back again in Oberammergau. Even though it's a rainy day, isn't it just lovely?
It really is. I'll tell you, the paintings on these buildings, I think, are just magnificent. Now, not only did we see them in Oberammergau, but we've also
congratulations!
Thank you. Said it right. But also in some other villages that we traveled through as well. Yeah. But I wish people would do that here. Wouldn't that be nice?
It would be lovely. It's a lot better than our graffiti that we have, wouldn't you say? A great improvement.
I wonder if that would help keep some of the graffiti off the walls.
Probably not. Probably not. But it is beautiful, and it looks like it has just been redone again.
It does, yeah. Yeah, it is beautiful.
Probably for this Passion Play, don't you suppose?
Could be. I would imagine that they keep it up in good, good repair.
Yeah.
We're going to go from here and head on to Garmisch, and before we do that, that was the view, Betty, outside of my bedroom window. Isn't that beautiful?
Isn't that where these people will be staying too?
Right. So let's join Jean-Pierre now as he tells us a little bit about Garmisch.
This is really the gateway to the German Alps. Only 8 miles away from here, slightly on our right, in the fog, is the highest mountain of this country, of the Federal Republic. That's the Zugspitze, which is just over 12,500 feet high. It's one of the most delightful places just north of the German Alps. It's also the site of a U.S. Army base here, just outside Garmisch. They have a beautiful golf course, tennis courts, swimming pools, PXs, and it is said that the GI of the United States, who is serving his country here in Germany, likes this place better than any other place in this country. It's clean, it has beautiful mountain air, and there's innumerable possibilities to ski. And even in the summer, people come here for walks along the lake. They come here for mountain climbing. They come here for boating, resting. And here you see the Garmisch-Partenkirchener band, which is going maybe some other place to play. Garmisch-Partenkirchen today has about 30,000 inhabitants, and during the winter season there are 30,000 visitors, so that makes 60 in the winter, double the amount of inhabitants, and they stay in the guest houses, in the lovely hotels. There's some 5-star hotels in Garmisch-Partenkirchen as well.
Well, I can see why this is a popular spot. Now, not only is Garmisch have beautiful buildings and residences, but it's also the site of the Winter Olympics.
But isn't that scary? Did you see those ski lifts?
Yeah.
My
Those
gosh.
are jumps.
Well, jumps. I'm sorry.
Now, you can get lifted up
but you have to get up to be lifted before you can jump down.
That's right. That's a sport I don't think that I would really like to. Skiing is fine, but to go off one of those jumps, woo!
What is a ski lift? Is that the little cart
That's
that
what you
takes
get
you
on
up
that takes
then?
you up the hill.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. All right.
Yeah. But this was really something. And of course, again, it was pretty much of a cloudy day and a little bit drizzly the day that we were there, but it is beautiful.
I think it's fun to see it green. We know people go to see it white, but it's lovely to see what it's like underneath the snow.
Yeah. This is quite a stadium. I wonder how far down those jumpers come. I wonder if they come all the way down to the, when I've seen it on television, they come almost, it looks like right into the crowd. When
they're so brave, aren't they brave?
Either that or darn crazy. I don't know. Oh, but that's a big jump. Look at that. Woo-wee. No, siree. You can. I'll be a spectator.
You're going to watch. You're going to be spectator sport on this one. You're going to pass,
indeed.
huh?
Yes, indeed. But it was quite a nice Winter Olympic Stadium, I think, there. And
well, one of the many beautiful things and wonderful things to see on our trip, wasn't it? It was an outstanding.
Yeah, very
gives
much
you an idea of what goes on during the Olympics.
Mm-hmm. And there you can see now, you take the ski lifts way up there to the top of the mountain, Betty, and then you can ski on down.
Thank you, Marv.
You're welcome.
I really feel informed now.
I love these little trains, little electric trains that you see all across the Alpine countries of Europe. And that would be a way to see the country, I suspect.
Wouldn't that be? But you have a lot of time for that.
Yeah, you really would have.
Yeah.
Well, let's go on our way to Innsbruck now. And of course, as we're on our way to Innsbruck, we cross many more pastoral scenes. And again, it's too bad that the cloud cover was as low as it is, because you just look straight on up, and those mountains just go up and up and up right there into the Alps. And looks like we're coming to the border to now leave Germany and go into Austria.
Yeah, so easy.
It is, isn't it?
No customs, no opening of suitcases, no nothing. You just drive right on through.
Right. Jean-Pierre was telling us, too, that it's very easy, especially for American tourists, to go right on through. I guess maybe there are some other nationalities that they do stop, but if you're a bus full of American tourists, you're just sort of
right on
through. Right. And it seems like the villages here that we see in Austria are very similar, of course, to the ones that we have just seen in Germany. Look, Betty, the snow had just fallen the night before. It just dusted those beautiful mountains.
It's the greenness that gets to me. I can't believe that green, green, green grass.
That is nice. Now, you've been there in the summertime, haven't you?
Yes,
before?
I have.
Is it
Uh-huh.
just about as green in the summertime as it
No,
was
it's
here?
not this green.
Uh-huh.
It's green, but not this green.
Oh, well, as we were heading now toward Innsbruck, we were climbing again higher up in the mountains, and the views down into the valleys and looking down at the river. I think it's very, very, very beautiful.
And one thing to reassure people, because we are up in the mountains, the roads are excellent.
Yes.
Very, very fine roads.
Yes, very, very much so. And this is what I like. You didn't get bored. I mean, you weren't in a valley all the time, or you weren't in the mountains all the time, but you were up and down. And so the variety of things that we were able to see, I think, was really quite nice.
Look at that. Isn't that wonderful?
And that's on the outskirts now of Innsbruck. What surprised me, I thought, Betty, that Innsbruck was just a little tiny ski village. I was really mistaken.
Your eyes. Well, I think at one time that's exactly what it was, and then it became so popular with the skiing group. My kids stayed over there for, I guess, 4 months skiing.
In Innsbruck?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Innsbruck.
boy.
Innsbruck and Kitzbühel.
That's nice. Well, all throughout this Alpine area, naturally, of course, it's known for its wonderful, wonderful winter playland and, of course, so much skiing. Now we're getting toward the older section of Innsbruck, and we're going to go visit on our stop there. Oh, by the way, Betty, look up there to the left. You can still see there's another ski jump right here in the middle of
Right
town.
in town.
Isn't that something? Well, we're going to visit St. Mary's Our Lady of the Pillars Church. In fact, I believe it's a basilica, if I'm not mistaken, and there's a beautiful architecture here. That's why we really stopped to see it, was because our guide wanted us to see the type of architecture that we would see here. And, of course, the interior, I had always, not having been in Austria before, I had always gone through the picture books, and the architecture inside of these churches that we did visit while we were in this particular area of the Alpine region is just so beautiful. It reminds me of a decorated cake.
I love the colors, too. I like the white and the gold colors. And this was one of the really, truly magnificent churches that we went into. Not overpowering with its largeness, but that's a dumb word, but anyway.
Well, no, with some of those churches, I think that's true. I mean, some of them are really quite large, even for some of the small villages. And again, I had to take another shot of some trains here in Innsbruck, and there's one train going through here. Maybe is this second class? Is that what it's got a 2 on it for?
I don't think so. It could be. I just was on a second class, but I don't think it had a 2 on it until you got up right to the door
Is that
itself.
right? Well, there's another one coming behind that looks a little more modern, so I don't know if maybe that's the first class train that's coming. Well, we want to join our guide now, and she has a few other things that she would like to explain to us about this beautiful area of Austria, especially Innsbruck. Again, there's that ski jump right there in the center of town. That really surprised me. So let's join our guide now as she explains to us why it's so nice to live.
It's a fantastic place to go in the winter time, especially in the winter time, because you have an enormous amount of ski slopes around here. And it's also very good to stay in this place because there's so many things to do. You're not really out in the boonies, as some people would say. You really are in a quite good functioning city. And also, if you take, for instance, if you stay here in the winter time, you get a ski pass. You buy for it. You buy, of course, the ski. You pay for it. You don't get it. But you have free transportations with the buses that are bringing you up to the slopes. So that's a very good thing. They pick you up at the hotel and everything. That is well working. We are here now, driving towards the inner center.
Betty, don't you just love driving through the city and on our way to the old city?
Yeah, and I'm glad that there's not so much traffic because you really get a better view, don't you, of the beautiful colors of the buildings and surrounding areas there.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
This is the Arc of Triumph that's in the city, and this was built on the day of the wedding of King Leopold II and Maria Theresa.
Oh, I'm so proud of you, Marv,
Why
with
is
all
that?
your knowledge of history. Oh, you're so impressive.
It's so easy. All you
Or
have-
show off. I don't
no.
know.
All you have to do is listen to the guide.
All right. But
And Mariana was a very good guide. She is Dutch, but she lives in Vienna, so she really knows an awful lot about Austria, and in particular, these particular areas. Oh, there you are, Betty. You're
there's
right.
my building. Isn't it lovely?
Those
Yeah.
are beautiful.
Yeah.
The colors of the buildings are very, very nice. The Austrians are, I think, very, very excited about keeping their buildings up and keeping them in a colorful state.
Marv, what's that ahead of us right there? The tower.
That's the tower that has a clock on it. Let's listen to Mariana right now, shall we?
Here you can really see how the cities expand towards their outskirts. The more and more it gets to the center, the more medieval the buildings get. This is the old country house, well, not the country house, the government house of the federal state on the right. Here have you all these Baroque facades, left and right. And straight ahead, the pillar, the column of Saint Anne. Saint Anne's column, erected in the 18th century, a typical Baroque column.
Marv, how nice that was to have a tribute to Saint Anne, the mother of the Blessed Virgin. You don't see many tributes to her over in Europe. It was.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Straight ahead, you see that that now narrow street is the beginning of the inner city, of the old town of Innsbruck. You can see the street we're now crossing, or we're going to the right here, is where the original, you had the old city walls around Munich. So we are still actually outside, around Innsbruck, sorry, thank you. Munich we had a few days before, huh? The place where he was born, close to Vienna. This is all part of the Imperial Palace here. You see the yellowy color? That's what they call the Habsburg yellow. Here on the left, the Hofburg, the Imperial Palace of the Habsburg family. It's just a little one, really. Just have a look at the one in Vienna. The city theater on the right in a neoclassical style with Corinthian pillars. And this is the Congress Hall.
Well, Betty, I don't know, but she said that this was a small palace of the Habsburgs, and yet we're going to see bigger ones evidently when we get to Vienna, but this is pretty big
I'm
and
thinking,
impressive.
sure, if that's a small palace, what do you think the big palaces look like?
I don't know.
huh?
I keep wondering, when you see, 1, 2, 3, 4 stories there, how many servants it must have taken, and how many people must take for the upkeep of a palace like this.
And now it's not used for anything but administration offices, a city
old
hall
city
kind of
hall.
like,
I
isn't it?
think that's right, yeah.
But they have certainly kept it well preserved.
haven't they, though?
Yeah.
And that's gold leaf, too, that you see on some of that, on the wrought iron there.
There's
That's
those colors I like.
Yes.
Well, is there a name for that?
Imperial yellow, I believe it is.
Well, that sounds like a logical color.
Right. Well, we're going to join Mariana now as she explains to us the old city.
Tightly connected, the palace was to the city. Maximilian wanted to be close to his people, so that's why he built the palace right in the center of Innsbruck, and actually stepping out of the side door he would be in the streets of Innsbruck and meeting the people.
Urban redevelopment, an early example. I mean, people were living here and he just pushed them out.
They pushed him out.
He must have displaced some persons if the palace was this close to those homes.
I think so.
Oh, this is an enjoyable walk, though. This is one that I really did have fun with, because you could look into the little shops and see some of the really old places as they were built right into the city walls.
Look at the walls of these houses. I mean, they're actually built into the city walls, partly. See how thick they are? And small, too. I mean, the Baroque houses were much bigger. These are very small houses.
Well, Betty, let's take a look at some real Baroque. How's
oh
that?
my, look at that. Isn't that spectacular?
That really is. That's beautiful. Now, that is right in the center of the old town there in Innsbruck, and you can see everybody sure wants to get their cameras out and take a picture of that.
Yeah, sure. Now, there's even me down there in the corner
With your little-
with my little camera.
And again, there are your very colorful buildings that you had mentioned a little bit earlier. And I think they are really quite nice.
You go
Right.
up and down with the neck as you see the tall ones and then the not so tall.
And, of course, I wonder if these must have been very important people if they lived that close to the palace, had built their houses.
Now, look at,
close.
isn't that the wall right there that the house is built on?
I think so. I
How
think that
about
probably was, yeah. And
Lots of little fountains.
lots of fountains. Now,
Yes.
here is an old place that was, I imagine that these are the original paintings. There too. In fact, as you look up, it looks as though the people are actually there on that balcony.
I don't remember, Mark, but it seems like that was somebody very important that lived there. Do you remember what we were told?
I don't. I'm
that's
sorry, I
too
really
bad.
don't. That
We'll have to
there was
find
so
out.
much to absorb,
Yeah.
right? But there's another shot of it, and you can see it does look like the people are right there on the balcony, doesn't it? The way that it's painted
yeah.
up. Beautiful structure, absolutely marvelous. That is really breathtaking.
Well, there's much to see.
Oh, yes.
Really, there. This trip is a great trip.
Well, this is what I keep thinking that Europe is all about, you know,
Yeah.
and I wasn't disappointed at all, not at all. But that's just beautiful, and there's a close-up of that Baroque.
Now, do you
house.
call? I was just going to say Baroque. When you build that, you go for broke. Huh?
In this day and age, you would, that's for sure.
Funny joke.
And more painting on the buildings there. And look, there's a little vegetable market right there, of fruits and vegetables right there on the street. That's
Even
quite
that
nice.
time of the it was March.
Yeah.
So it was probably fruits were probably brought in from some other area.
Mariana was telling me that they do a lot of importing all over this part of Europe from all over the world, so that they have fresh fruits and vegetables year-round. You know, not just the things that are grown there, but things that are shipped in from Australia, New Zealand, and other places.
And all of the little shops had little identifications
Mm-hmm.
out in front of their shops so that you knew what exactly they did for a profession.
That's why I tried to get as many shots as I could of those little signs. Aren't they beautiful?
Yeah, they are.
This is supposed to be a very famous old hotel, the Golden Adler Hotel. And there again you can see the Swiss flag. And in just a few moments, Jean-Pierre is going to explain to us how the Swiss flag came to be in the particular colors that they were using. But again, here you can see now, this being a very, very old hotel, again, it was painted, had that facade painted too.
Very expensive, this hotel.
It's not one where we're going to
Five-star.
stay.
Not
Yes,
where,
no.
it's
But it's so expensive that you have your name engraved out here, at least some of the very important people that have stayed at this hotel at one time or another.
KNXT Channel 49 Adventures Club is coming up.
Very important people, right? Yes. But it is breathtaking, the color on these buildings and the little narrow streets. You can just imagine the little carriages that used to go through here with the horses. And I don't know if it was cobblestone in those days or not.
But you do relive.
Oh,
relive
yes, yeah.
history.
Yeah. Thank goodness they didn't tear all this down, huh?
Yeah. Well, we would have done it here probably.
Oh, yes, it wouldn't have lasted that long, that's
No,
for sure.
no.
But it's just quite beautiful, and it sits. This particular area sits right on the side of a bank of a river, which is just off to the left of the picture here.
Marv, they're already gone. But what were those statues? What did they represent?
There was something of historical significance of looking out over the river. They were there for protection or
Guardians or
something. Yeah,
something of the
yeah.
river.
Again, it's something I don't really
I just
remember
really
too much of.
expected you to know this. You're the history buff, you see.
Well, I'll go back and read about it. I believe that's the Habsburg coat of arms, and again we see the beautiful imperial palace there of the Habsburgs. And again, they said that this was a small palace, but to me it was quite large. Well, what do you say, Betty? We listen now to Jean-Pierre as he explains to us a little bit about how the Austrian flag came to be and the various colors that it has.
Fine.
And what happened with the colors of the flag of Austria? The Habsburgs were always dressed in long white coats with a huge belt and sash around the middle section where they have stashed away knives and weapons. And whenever the Habsburg armies went to war and returned after mostly winning the wars, also fighting in the early centuries of the Habsburg dynasty, and they finally took off their sash and their belt around their midsection, these warriors looked red, white, and red, because the white coats in the middle were protected by the sash and the belt, everything else drenched in blood, and the color of blood is red. Therefore, the red, white, and red color in the coat of arms still today.
The reason why you find so many monasteries in Austria, and mostly are Jesuits, Benedictine, also all Catholic, of course, is because the Habsburg family was very closely connected with the church. And matter of fact, it's the reason why so many people in Austria are Catholic is because of that fact. It was the state religion of the empire, the imperial religion, you could almost say.
Betty, have you noticed as we drive around that you can see different types of church spires? Here are these real thin ones that go up in the air, and then you see some that sort of look more of the oniony.
Sure,
dome
they
type
really inspire me.
They really okay.
You get it?
I won't touch that
Don't
with
touch
a
that.
10-foot
Okay,
spire.
That's all right.
Again, looking up into the mountains again, up into the Alps, it's just beautiful. All these scenes. I mean, everywhere you look, just picture
Yeah,
perfect.
They're all postcard.
Yeah.
And
Right.
even though we're on a bus, and the bus, can sometimes you think be a little boring, it
Oh,
truly
it never
isn't,
was. No,
because
not
there
at
was
all.
such varied scenery as we went along.
That's right. Yeah, very much so. I was surprised to see how many villages and towns that there were as we did drive along here. And oh, Betty, look, there's your castle. Look, sitting up on the hill. That's your castle.
The reason why they have them along the rivers is mostly because of strategic reasons, and also because they, of course, running along the river, they would ask for people from at the navigable part of the rivers. They would ask money for them to pass, for the people to pass. So they would earn an additional, I'm getting a little mixed up, huh? They would get an additional amount of money to what they already had.
Well, Betty, you think you want that castle?
No, I don't. It's an empty one. I want something with some people in it.
Okay. There's another one of the church steeples. Of course, that's a little bit different. Well, we are on our way to Salzburg, but before we get any further down the road, I think we better stop and have something to eat, don't you?
Oh, a good idea.
That's what we did a lot on this trip, is eat, and look
Drink
at that.
beer.
Yeah, there was some good beer, too. There's some good Austrian food right there. It looks like it's absolutely... Oh, look at
I
this.
think that's veal.
Is that veal?
Yeah, and then there's an Austrian name for it, but
And Betty had a bowl of soup. That's your soup and
That's
your
my
beer, I
soup
think.
and
Yes,
my beer, yeah.
But Betty, over at the next table, if you'll take a look, they've already finished their main course, and they're going to have a little bit of dessert. But before we do that, can you imagine that this fellow who was on the trip ordered spaghetti? I guess
mortal
that-
sin.
Well, I guess that was because we weren't too terribly far from Italy, too. But look at those crepes. Oh, doesn't that look good?
And that was Lester, and he always ordered the best of everything.
Yes, indeed. He was a good eater.
Uh-huh.
He was a good eater. And he wasn't the only one with the crepes, though. Those do look delicious, don't
What
they?
did you get?
I just had a little sandwich. I really wasn't that hungry. And being that we had such nice, wonderful, big breakfasts every morning, I just don't like to eat that much during the middle of the day, which, of course, you have your own option whether you want to do that or not.
That's what
There,
makes it
beautiful, beautiful snow, isn't it? And that had just fallen the night before. Look at
There's
what
the
is...
green again.
Oh,
that I-
yeah, and the beautiful rivers that we crossed. Oh, my goodness sakes.
That water looks like you could drink it because it's all frothy and bubbly.
Right. And look at this. This is just a typical little village in Austria. And again, as you said a little bit earlier, Betty, just a picture postcard, isn't it?
Well, I look at some of these greens that we see, stretches and stretches, and I think, oh, we'll bring the golf clubs the next time because it really looks like they're golf courses all over the place.
Certainly does. Look at that. And how about that? Right in your backyard, a beautiful waterfall. Looks like Yosemite almost, and you're in the backyard of these people who were fortunate enough to live in this little
Yes.
village, huh? Oh, that is just gorgeous.
The wonders of God.
Well, we are on our way to Salzburg, and Mariana's going to explain to us a little bit about some of the history of Salzburg.
And Salzburg has always been a religious center, and therefore it even had an archbishop. And in the times of the Middle Ages, of course, worldly power and the power of the church were very closely connected. So the archbishops were very, very wealthy. And one of the archbishops of Salzburg, you will hear his name, was called Wolf Dietrich von Reithenau. And Wolf Dietrich von Reithenau was born in Italy. He was very closely connected with the Medici family of Florence. And he was a typical figure of the Renaissance, which means that he was an enlightened dictator. It means he had quite a lot of feeling for art and things like that. And he wanted his Salzburg, where he was appointed to become an archbishop, he wanted to turn Salzburg into the Rome of the North.
And so, on our way to Salzburg. But we're never going to get there, Betty.
I'm afraid not. Isn't that a shame?
Well, I think we better tell everybody what happened. It seems as though in our camcorder, when we came back to the United States, that our camera was stolen. And the tapes about Salzburg and Vienna were inside the camera. And so, unfortunately, we don't have that to work with.
Don't have it. And you missed out what I told you about Marv up on top of the tower looking down, scared to death. It would have been, oh, they were great pictures. But that's no longer.
Yeah, just to think, I went up there all for nothing. Oh, well. It was a great view, I guess. But if you don't like heights, Anyway, Salzburg and Vienna, of course, are on the trip, and they are absolutely beautiful. Salzburg was, well, some of the scenes, too, which I had on the tape, were places where the Sound of Music were filmed, and, oh, just beautiful areas, huh, Betty?
Yeah, it's smaller, too. It's kind of fun. Yeah,
it
I
really
thought
is.
it was a neat.
Well, so we just have to go back. That's what we'll have to do.
Well, we are going back, so
That's
that's
right.
going to take care of that right then and there.
On May 30th of 1990. But as we are now in, here in August, approaching August, and in August, your deposits, of course, for the trip, for the Passion Play, the Oberammergau trip, must be in this month. We must have the
by the
deposit.
15th.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Betty, we still do have some of the beautiful brochures on the Passion Play and our Alpine Adventure, and if people would like to take a look at the entire itinerary that we have, all they have to do is give you a phone call,
They
right?
can call me. However, I have just about filled up the May trip. I now am starting a waiting list. I have, I think that's 5 people that I've not received the money for, but that's the end of the spaces available for May. So I am going to put on another one in September, tentatively, I should
So this
say.
will be the same trip to...
It'll be exactly the same, except it will be in September. There were some more tickets available for me to be able to get in September. But I am going to start a waiting list first for May, and then go ahead with the September. And it's good news. I'm excited about it. Yeah, I'm very happy.
Well, it shows you
Thank
how many people think that this is really a very
Yeah.
important trip and a fun trip. It's going
Thank
to be
you.
a
I
fun
have a
trip.
lot out there that I'm waiting to hear from that have said that they were going to go. So
Betty, why don't you give your phone number one more time so everybody will have it.
488-7443. I'll do it again. 488-7443.
And do it, please, right away so that you can get the brochure and see if you want to make the decision on going with us. Well, that just about does it for this edition of the Adventures Travel Club television show, and we want to thank you very much for being with us, and we'll see you next time.